In this episode, we're going to take a look at a voice amplifier, a device that amplifies your voice and makes it louder. This is a presentation tool. So let's do an unboxing and see what we got. The S96 voice amplifier includes two wireless rechargeable headband microphones. And to recharge these mics, there's a USB Type-C connector at the top, and on the bottom side there's a push button to turn the microphone on and off. On the side there is a series of LEDs which indicate the state of battery charge. And the batteries in these microphones should be good for all day long operation on a single charge. The microphones are pretty directional, and so because of that, I would recommend when you put the mic on, you get the microphone pretty close to your mouth. If it's hanging out here, it'll still work fine, but it works better if you get it close. Something I find curious is that the Windbridge logo on the outside of the microphone is upside down if I wear it like this. Perhaps they're intending for people to wear the unit in this state, where the headband is kind of around the backside of your head and rests on top of your ears. I don't know. Either way, it works just fine. One of the cool features of these microphones, I think, is that they don't appear to be standard Bluetooth microphones. There's no pairing procedure that you need to go through in order to connect the microphone to the amplifier unit. They just automatically see each other and hook up instantly. So all you need to do is turn on the amplifier, turn on the microphones, and a moment later, everything just connects and works. Here's the S96 amplifier unit. As you can see, it's really small, compact, portable, easy to carry around. It only weighs just a little bit more than a pound. And to make it even easier to carry around, they have included a relatively nice carry strap that you can clip onto the unit if you wanted to just toss it on your shoulder. The unit has a 25 watt power amplifier module inside of it, according to the specs, and a pretty significant battery rated at over 8,000 milliamp hours, which is more than enough power to run this device for all day long, 10 to 12 hours. And it's a rechargeable battery, of course, and it is charged with a USB-C power connector on this side of the panel. This is the same connector that's used on the microphones that are included, so the charger that's included will charge either the microphones or this device. Also on this side panel are a couple other connectors, such as a 3.5 millimeter audio input connector. So you could take an audio source and put it into that connector and use this as a speaker amplifier. Then on top of that, there's a large USB connector, which is used to connect to a memory stick. And this device can play audio files that are stored on the memory stick. It can also record to the memory stick if you want to, so you can record your presentations. Those recordings come out as 96 kilobit MP3 files. Moving to the front of the device, we see that most of the front panel is occupied by this speaker. It's not an extremely large speaker because it's not an extremely large device. This is the volume control and the power switch. To turn the power on, just depress this for a second or so and the device powers up. To turn it off, just depress it again and it powers down. Twist it for volume and this control will turn all the way around and more and keep going. It's a software type volume control. There's no hard stops in it. The other buttons along the top are used for audio playback and mode. So this one here is labeled M, and it's the mode button, and it determines which input source you wish to use. So it will switch between this being a Bluetooth receiver and being connected to a Bluetooth device that's playing audio, or it can switch to one of these inputs on the side. The button in the middle is a pause button, and so if you push that, any audio playback gets paused and the signals from the microphones get muted. So this stops and mutes everything and puts the unit into a standby mode. Tap it again to continue on. This button and this button right here are used for skipping tracks forward or backwards. So if, for example, I was connected to my phone and I was playing music from my phone through this device, I could press these buttons to skip to the previous or the next song. The button on the end here is labeled R for record, and if you press that, it will record the presentation onto a USB memory stick. The recording comes out at 96 kilobits in MP3 format. This was one thing that I found just a little bit confusing in the operator's guide. When you put a USB stick into the device, the front panel here will indicate USB. A USB device has been inserted. And then that indication will go away after a few seconds and the device will just go back to its previous state. Now I'm going to insert a USB memory stick so I can record the session that we do and then we can listen to it afterwards to see how good the recording is. To do that, I'm going to insert the stick, and when I see USB appear on the display, I will just quick tap the record button to begin the recording mode. And now I see that the display is counting time. So I know that it's recording. You can see the little light on the USB stick blinking, showing that it's saving data to it. Now all I need to do Let's take the microphone and turn it on, and it will connect automatically to the S96. There we go. Slip that on, and we have a working audio amplifier. Actually doesn't sound entirely bad. It sounds pretty clear and present. I could see how this could help project your voice to the very back of the room. Now, there are some things that I immediately notice, however, being kind of an audio guy. One of them is that there's gating happening. So if I talk super quietly, it cuts out. And that's probably a good thing. It reduces the amount of noise and possibly feedback. And so far, I'm not getting any feedback with this unit sitting right next to me right here. So that's pretty impressive, actually. But if I talk super quietly, if I go really quiet, you can see that the device is not gating. It's not opening the gate. I can talk really quiet and it doesn't trigger it. But if I start speaking in my normal voice, it comes in and it works just fine. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing, which is just a teeny bit disconcerting to me, is that there's a time delay. From the time I speak until it comes out of that speaker, there is a small time delay. I'm guessing a few milliseconds, perhaps. It's enough to kind of throw me just a little bit, but that's evidently an artifact of the digital processing, and digital processing takes a little bit of time. Now, it's not such a deal that I think it would really be terribly distracting for most people. But being a sound guy, audiophile guy, I notice these things. The other thing that I notice is that it is relatively loud, but it isn't overpowering. You're not going to break glassware and shake walls with this device, but you wouldn't expect to with such a small speaker. And the device is rated for 25 watts of power. And subjectively, that doesn't seem like a very big 25 watts to me. So I would have expected more output. But I'm not disappointed in the unit. I think that for its intended purpose, for small group communication, to give you a little bit better coverage in the backside of the room or in a noisy environment, I think this will work pretty well. And you can get a pretty good sense as to the audio quality of it, I think. Maybe I should move the microphone a little bit closer to this speaker so that you can hear the output even more clearly. Move you over here. Well, if I just do something like that, I think you'll probably get a more clear pickup as to what my voice actually sounds like coming through the S96. So, it's not a big giant PA system that is super hi-fi, but for its intended purpose, for being able to project your voice to a little bit larger audience, I think this might be a great tool in a lot of situations.